searching, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. Then these crime busters run, no victims left in vain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voice and the missing.
Hello, hello. How is everyone doing tonight? I'm waiting to make sure people come on over. We just finished our hello, Ginger. Brenda Joe, hello, hello. We just finished our half-hour campaign for Sebastian Rogers, showing the billboard campaign that At Night is doing. So I did want to take time to do that. But now we are going to talk about none other than Lori Vallow, right? Cult mom. And I don't know, I don't even like to call her a mom, because no mother would do what she did, right? But we didn't really get to finish talking about last Thursday's court date. She wasn't in court on Friday. They have the weekend off, so they get long weekends. They're in court from Monday through Thursday of every week. So we talked about her brother being on the stand, and then there was a police officer and one of the ladies that used to go to her like home meeting kind of things. And she kind of went after her brother, didn't she, when we talked about it last week? But now I'm going to show her Charles' sister, who is Kay Woodcock. She knew a lot. She actually was JJ's grandmother. Charles and Lori had adopted JJ because her son and his girlfriend were in no position to take care of JJ. And Larry and Kay took JJ, and they felt that they were too old to give him everything he needed because he's low functioning autistic. He was a handful. Cute child though, really cute child. Actually adorable when you look at him here with Charles. He's very, very good looking child. He was born 10 weeks premature, so there was a lot of problems with JJ. So they had adopted him, but as we all know, things fell apart, right? But Kay was on the stand. Kay was instrumental in pushing to get Lori to tell where the kids were, because she had seen JJ a lot, right? She was close to him. She raised him until he was 2. And, so she wanted to see him. Charles would bring JJ to see her all the time. So then when she wasn't getting to see him after Charles was gone, she started questioning, where is she? When Lori wouldn't take her calls anymore, she asked for welfare checks. I don't blame her. As a grandma, I would have too, right? So we're going to listen to her testimony. And guys, from people in the courtroom that were there, and the prosecutor was, interviewing her, They said that Lori was shaking, literally shaking, even like when pull up her hands to turn her pad over or to pick up her pen. She was literally shaking, they said, um, almost fearful. And she only asked Kay 3 questions, but it was really good. But we're going to listen to Kay's whole testimony tonight. It isn't very long. I'm going to share my screen. Let me just out of there. All right.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Kay Woodcock. I'm Charles Vallow's younger sister.
How old are you?
How old am I today?
Today.
64.
And are you married?
Yes.
Where do you currently live?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
I want to talk to you about your siblings. You told us that you are Charles's sister. How many siblings were there in your family?
6.
And where did Charles fall into that?
He was number 3.
Who are the other siblings?
My oldest sister, Terry, then my next sister, Susan, then Charles, then Jerry, then me, then Bobby.
And where did you guys grow up?
We're in Lake Charles.
Okay. Were you close with your brother?
Yes, I was.
Did you know his wife, Lori Vallow?
Yes, I do.
Can you point her out in the courtroom and tell us what she's wearing?
She's the defendant over there in the black jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
I want to talk to you sort of about Lori and Charles.
I love how confident and bold Kay is being on the stand, right? She's incredible.
Were you at their wedding?
No, they went to Las Vegas.
Do you recall what year they got married?
2006.
Did they have a reception that?
I don't know if that's what you'd call it, but there was a family gathering in March of 2006 at a ranch in near Austin, Texas, that we all went to.
Okay, kind of to celebrate that.
Yes,
Had your brother Charles been married before?
yes,
Did he have any children from his prior marriage?
yes.
How many?
2.
And who were they?
Cole Vallow and Zach Vallow.
And did you know if Lori had any children from a prior marriage?
Yes, Colby Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
When Lori and Charles got married, did Charles's 2 sons live with them?
Live with Charles and Lori?
Yeah.
No.
Did they stay with their mother?
Yes, they did. They visited, but they never lived there.
Where were they? Was that in Arizona or still in Texas?
In Austin.
I want to ask you sort of,
I find that funny because Lori has said repeatedly, we had 5 children to raise, but his boys didn't live with them, right? So, tell me what you think, guys, but in my opinion, when you say you're raising someone, that means they're living in your home, right? If you only get them every other weekend or something, that's not that you're raising them, in my opinion. Tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, I'm glad she said they had 5 children. So that meant she was including the boys in the family. but was she really raising them? I guess I kind of disagree on that point.
Some of the ages of the children involved. In July of 2019, was Tylee still a minor?
Yes,
So she was still living with them.
yes,
In July of 29, do you know if Colby was still a minor?
yes. Oh, wait, no, Colby was not.
He was an adult at
He
that
was
point.
an adult.
And in July of 2019, were Charles's two sons, Cole and Zach, still minors or adults?
They were adults.
Okay. Did Charles and Lori have any children together?
They adopted my grandson, JJ.
And can you tell us how that worked out?
How that worked
Or
out, meaning
how did they get involved in adopting your grandchild?
Charles approached me about it one day. He called, and I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on then, and that was my son's child, and there was a lot going on. So I just told him then, look, I can't make a decision like that. We don't know how this is going to go. Just, well, just keep me in mind, keep it in mind. And so I kept it in mind.
And do you recall, when did they adopt JJ?
It was final in July of 2014.
How old was he then?
He was 2.
Did JJ have any special needs?
Yes, he was autistic, and he was born 10 weeks premature.
Okay. So he took a little extra care.
He did, absolutely.
Do you recall, so if he was 2 and they adopted him, how old was he in July of 2019?
He was 7. We spent his 7th birthday together in Lake Charles.
So in July of 2019, to your knowledge, Lori and Charles still had 2 children under the age of 18 with them, Tylee and JJ?
Yes,
So if in July of 2019, Lori Vallow was saying she had 5 kids she was taking care of, you were unaware of the other 3?
there were not 5 there, no. There were 2.
Can you tell us about the relationship?
Good point. So, Zach and Cole and Kobe were all out of the house by that point. Not to mention that Zach and Cole, Charles' kids, didn't live with them anyway. So for her to say they were taking care of 5 children, no, they were not. It was just Tylee and JJ in the house at that point in time.
Relationship between Charles and JJ?
Charles was the best dad. I mean, he was always doting on him. The arrangement I figured out eventually was that if Charles was working out of town, Lori had him all by herself, and so when Charles got back to town, JJ was his to take care of, 100%.
Would Charles bring JJ to visit your side of the family in Louisiana?
Oh, yes.
Did you regularly see him?
Yes, once JJ learned how to fly, and, excuse me, I need water. Once JJ learned how to fly, and, that because he was autistic, something like that is, a big deal for him, and he loved it, so he was a little flyer. He loved to go in the airplane.
What did your brother Charles do for a living?
He sold annuities. He was a financial planner.
And how long did you know him to do that?
If I had to guess, 20 years, I guess.
Did he work for others or have his own business? What do you recall?
He had his own business.
Had he previously had ever, any times ever worked for others?
Yes,
But in July of 2019, he had his own business.
yes.
Did he have a business partner?
He did, yes.
Did his job require him to travel a lot?
He did. He would be gone 3 or 4 days a week, on average. Sometimes he didn't have to travel, but he was just, but yeah, he would be gone 3 or 4 days a week when he would be working.
I want to ask you a little bit about Charles. Was he sort of a meticulous person when it came to paperwork?
Oh, yes. I mean, for when you're doing that type of work, you have to be meticulous and methodical, and you can't make any errors. No, you can't miss a dot or crossing a T, because it will get kicked back to you, and then it just causes a lot of delay and a lot of trouble. So he was actually, he said, there was never anybody I've ever trusted to do this for me. And I was like, well, I'll do it for you, because,
All right, we'll stop here.
yeah.
So when Charles was working as financial planner, do you know if he had Lori help him with any part of his job?
I don't really know exactly what she did, but yes,
Okay.
but I don't know what she did.
Prior to Charles being a financial advisor, did he have a very different career in sports?
Oh, he quit, I don't know if, I don't remember because I was quite young then, but he did, I believe he was drafted in the early 70s into the Houston Astros. minor
Hello,
league.
Canine.
So when you were growing up, did you see your brother playing baseball?
I was raised at a baseball field. If it wasn't Charles, Jerry played for years, my other brother, but Charles stuck with it, and that's how he got to college with a degree, with a scholarship.
So you got stuck many a night and a weekend having to be at the ball field with your brother?
Yes.
What position did your brother play?
He was a pitcher. He was very, very good. He was a left-handed pitcher, and they're very hard to hit against.
Okay. Did he bat right or left-handed?
He was left-handed.
Did he do everything left-handed?
Yes.
Left-handed?
That's important because when we look at the diagram of the house where they said that Charles was laying there, if you can see him laying there, the bat is near the wall on the left side of him, which if he was laying on his back, that bat would have been by his right hand. Alex testified that Charles was hitting him with the bat in his right hand. But Kay, his sister, said that he batted left-handed. So why would he be holding the bat in his right hand if he was going to hit Alex with it, or anyone, right? So that was a really important point for her to bring up, for her to be asked.
After your brother, well, let me ask you, do you know how long he played in the semi-pro?
I don't, he had moved to Houston, and but he blew out his knee, and that's ended that right there.
Did your brother stay in shape after that, even though he blew out his knee?
Oh, yes, he was always doing something, always, bike riding, hiking, just anything. Gym, he was very active.
So every time you saw him, he was taking care of himself.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about religion. Did your family grow up in the LDS church or faith?
No, we did not.
Did you know Charles to ever convert to the LDS faith?
He did at some point during his marriage to Lori.
Okay. Um, when Lori and Charles were married, did you know, did they always live in one state or did they move?
No, they lived here in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area, Chandler, Gilbert, and then they moved to Hawaii in 2014, and then they moved back late 2016 or early 2017.
Back to,
Oh, back here to Phoenix area.
do you recall where they were, what state they were in when they met?
When Charles and Lori met, they
Yeah.
were in Texas.
Texas, okay. In 2018 and 19, you told us that Charles and JJ would come visit you and the family regularly.
Yes,
In March of 2018, did you have a member of your family pass away?
yes, my mother did in March of 18.
Did Charles come out for that?
Yes, he did. He was there for her services. Lori was not, and we felt like something was going on. Well, actually, my husband felt it before I did, and then when she didn't show for my mother's funeral, I just thought that was just appalling. It appalled me that she wouldn't even come to something like that with her husband.
What was your relationship like with Lori?
Because of the work I did, the company we owned, I was on the phone an extreme amount of time, all the time. So I really don't like to call people. I'm not a phone person. I'll text you all day long, but I really don't like to talk. And so Lori and I never really had a big phone relationship. It was a text here and there, but mostly Charles would keep me up to date as to, different things that were going on, or, what they were up to, or Charles would call. Yeah, Charles would call me mostly.
I get what she is saying about being on the phone all day. And then the last thing, to this day, I still don't like being on the phone. Although now part of it is because I can't hear well. So, but yeah, when you work on the phone all day long, that's the last thing you want to do at night. You don't even want to look at the phone, honestly. Yeah, you just don't want to. Um, and K9, I agree with you. It is too bad that the jury doesn't know the whole story. But I have a feeling that Lori's going to blow it, and it's going to end up coming in. Um, and we'll hear about that in a little bit. Um, if we have time, we're going to play an interview that Kay did after this. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. And yes,
So
Lori's a
you weren't,
wackadoo.
it sounds like you weren't close with her.
When Lori and I were together, it was like we hadn't missed a minute. We just took up where we left off, and she's very outgoing, and she's very friendly and very easy to talk to, and so we got along rather well, and I loved her.
Okay. So continuing in 2018, do you recall seeing Charles and JJ coming out to visit you guys in October of 2018?
Yes,
What was that for?
just a weekend visit.
Okay. What about in November of 2018? Did you see Charles and JJ then?
We did, my husband and myself and my granddaughter, we went to Las Vegas, and Charles and JJ met us there for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
Um,
I thought that was odd. He wasn't with his family. He said Lori was sick or Tylee was sick is what he told us, but he just wouldn't share what all was going on at that point. Then when he finally did, he unloaded it all.
So in 2018, did you have any idea there were any, let me say this, in 2018, did you have some concerns about their relationship?
Yes, it was for him to come as often as they were coming, was odd, and he was just unsettled, and we knew something was going on, but he would never say.
Okay.
So he talked to us when he was ready.
When we get into 2019, did you start to see your brother more?
Yes.
First, without going into what Charles said, did you ever become aware finally that his marriage with Lori was in trouble?
Yes, I did.
In 2019, again, without going into what Charles said, did you ever believe that Charles was concerned for his safety?
Charles was absolutely concerned for his safety. Lori had sent me a text, I think it was on a Thursday, that she and Charles were fighting because of some stuff she came up with, and that she and JJ and Tylee were at a hotel. Well, I guess Tylee was, I'm not sure. And because she didn't want to have any fighting, so they went to a hotel. And I came out. I knew Charles the next day. That's when she sent it to me. And then I just really I didn't call Charles. I knew he'd call me, and he sure enough did. And he was a mess. And so I flew out the next day out here to help him with JJ, and just to come and talk to him and see what was going on. He was alone, and Lori's family turned their backs on him and JJ. Okay.
Let's just kind of break it all down.
All right.
Now, you got a lot that you remember. So you said that,
Guys, did you catch that? She said that Lori's family had turned their backs on him and JJ. What does that remind you of? I just think about Sebastian's, Chris's family as far as Sebastian. Hello, Melissa. Yeah, I think it's going to come in. It probably by Lori's own doing, because she's not going to be able to help herself, right? And she's going to open that door, and she's going to be sorry she did. Although I don't think it matters. I think this testimony with Kay is very telling. I watched another, and we may watch it tomorrow. I don't know, guys, or else I'll put it up on video. But Alex Cox, the one who red rummed for Lori, was married before, years before, when he was like in his 20s. And he and this woman were only married for about a year. And the reason that they were only married for about a year is because every time she went to his family's house, he and Lori, uh, how do I say this? Were touched inappropriately. They touched each other inappropriately to the point where one time, right in front of their parents, Lori jumped up on him and wrapped her legs around him. And he was like humping her, kind of. He would also touch her breasts and right in front of his wife. And they didn't think anything was wrong with that. And neither did his parents. And his parents, in fact, talked about their sex lives in front of the kids all the time. And they all thought this was normal. Um, very, very strange family. So, uh, I don't know what she would have to gain by coming out all those many years later to say what happened and why. But she also told how he had talked about wanting to red rum Lori's ex, Joe Ryan. So, kind of gives you an idea of the bond that Alex and Lori had together. From the sounds of it, SA as a child, I'm thinking. You guys can let me know what you think, but uh, um, his ex-wife said that there was nothing. I mean, he would get upset and want to beat up, anybody that treated Lori badly. I mean, it was just, she said it was over the top. Very strange relationship.
You got a text from Lori indicating that she and JJ and Tylee were at a hotel. And then you said that Charles then called you maybe the next day,
Yeah,
and you came out here to Arizona.
yes.
When you came out here to Arizona, did you become aware at that point that there was a big problem now with their relationship?
There was a huge problem now with their relationship.
And during this time when you had come out here, do you remember approximately when that was?
It's like the 1st of February of 2019, or the 2nd. It was right in there.
When you came out here, did you then speak with Charles about his concerns for his safety? Just yes or no?
About his what?
His concerns for his safety.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's just yes. Is this the time where, well, let me ask it this time. When you came out here, did you see Lori?
No,
When you came out here, did anyone know where Lori was?
no, nobody was talking about where she was. Nobody would tell Charles where she was.
So your brother was trying to find where she was?
Yes, he was.
Where was JJ at this time?
He was with Charles, and that's one of the reasons I came out was to help him with JJ, because he was quite a handful, and Charles was a mess. He was broken. He was a broken-hearted man.
So you come out here, Charles has JJ. Where's Tylee? Do you know?
She's, as far as we knew, she was staying at Lori's brother's. That's what we knew then.
Okay. Did you have any interaction with her?
No.
How long did Charles have JJ where he's looking for Lori and can't find her?
Well, that portion of the time was 58 days, and I knew how many days it was because every day Charles would say something. He would tell me.
So he was counting them.
He would count them.
Were you out here the whole time? What'd you do?
I could work remotely at the time, so I did stay out here a lot, often, but I would fly back. I was back and forth between Louisiana and here from from February until the end of March, because at that point, we moved Charles to Houston.
So the end of March, you said you were moving Charles to Houston. Was that with JJ?
Yes.
Why are you helping him move to Houston?
Because Charles told me that Lori did not want JJ anymore, or Kylie, or him. And I said, okay, well,
Wow, guys, there is proof. Charles told her that Lori didn't want JJ or Tylee or him anymore. Interesting. Now remember, at this point that she's talking about, this is before she ended up helping Alex or whatever happened, but JJ and Tylee ended up dead as well, right? But this is proof right here. She didn't want any of them anymore, and she was already having her affair with Chad.
look, what if you move to Houston and I'll be 2.5 hours away? And when you go out of town, I'll come and stay with JJ. And so he was talking about hiring a nanny, and I said, no, I will be the nanny, and I'll come and take care of him when you have, and it's easy enough, and you won't have to pay a penny.
So when Charles has JJ, you're helping take care of JJ in this time period in February and March.
Yes.
What about Charles's business? Did you help with that at all?
Yes, I had to get my arms around the whole thing. All the payments that needed to be made, the accounts, the emails, all that stuff you have to change over and change the password and all that, so Lori couldn't access it any longer.
You said you had your own job. What were you doing at that time in addition to helping your brother?
My husband and I owned a coastal crew change. It was a transportation company for the offshore oil and gas and LNG industry.
Okay. So you're trying to work that job and help Charles with his business.
Yes, I had a really great assistant who helped me an awful lot.
Do you remember when you were packing up to move Charles to Houston?
Yes.
You there?
I was there.
Did Lori show back up?
She did. I was in the pantry in the kitchen, packing up the pantry, and I don't know what, just something caught my attention, and I walked out and she was standing there. She had her back to me. Charles was sitting at the table on his phone, and he obviously didn't realize that she was there. And then finally, when he hung up, he looked up and there she was, and he started crying, and she started yelling
Do you recall what she was yelling about?
that, why did you take JJ? Why did you take JJ? Why did you take him out of school? Why are you moving? What are you doing? All this is your fault. It was just ridiculous.
So she'd been gone for 58 days, leaving,
No contact whatsoever.
and then she shows up at the house when you guys are moving out.
Yeah.
What was Charles's demeanor reaction? You said he was crying?
He was at first, but then he was just trying. Charles was a very soft-spoken man, and
I can't help, but feel sorry for Charles. It sounded like he was head over heels for Lori, right? He loved her so much. He was worried about her. He couldn't reach her. And she is just so, in that interview that we saw, I mean, she was so cold and hard and cruel. Just, I feel so bad. She had a way of manipulating men, guys. She manipulated Chad away from his wife and his family, right? She she probably has used her looks to do that all her life, right? I think she's trying to do that now because there are 10 men on her jury and 2 women. But you'll hear Kay, I don't know if we're going to have time, we probably won't, but Kay said in the interview that she doesn't think Lori is going to be able to charm these men jurors at all. Saying that, she's older now, her looks have faded, she's not able to get Botox anymore. So she, even though it seems, yeah, her looks are shot. Yeah, pretty much, right? Um, you know, but honestly, I think when Lori looks in the mirror, she sees herself the way she did years ago. I really do, guys. I think she's that delusional. I really do. But I can't help but feel sorry. And yeah, Ginger Canine, I agree with you guys. I think between her brother's testimony and Kay's, you know, I think she's done for, honestly. And all the other stuff is still going to come out. The text messages and everything else, right? That's still going to come out in court yet. This goes till May, right? Maybe it'll be done earlier though. I don't know. I was shocked that she didn't ask Kay more questions and that I thought she was going to go after Kay the hardest. And you guys will wait to see, but she did not, in my opinion.
and he was just trying to get a word in edgewise, and finally Lori settled down a little bit, and they went and they talked for a while in the living room, or the I guess it's like a great room, and then they moved to the bedroom to talk, and I could still hear every now and then Lori would get a little loud, but they were talking, and then I remember that Lori came. Let's see, I was sitting at the dining table, and she stood next to me and she said, "I love you, KK." And I said, "Well, I love you too. I'm sorry this is happening." And she cried, and I didn't know what to do really. So, I mean, I just was there. And then she walked off, and the next day I don't know who came, but they got Tylee's belongings out of the casita where all of Tylee's belongings were. And I don't remember if she got anything of hers. I really don't remember.
Okay. So are we now talking the end of March, beginning of April of 2019, when Charles is moving back to Houston?
Yeah.
Did he bring JJ with him?
Yes. Well, in order for me and Charles to move in, Larry, I flew out here and brought JJ back to Louisiana with me. And then my husband, Larry, kept him for a week while we were while I flew back here to help Charles pack and then drive back to Houston.
All right, so you guys rented a big truck and drove it?
He drove the U-Haul, I drove his pickup.
All right. When you and Charles got to Houston, then did your husband bring JJ back?
Yes, he did.
Through all of this time with Charles, when he was looking for Lori while she was gone for those 58 days, did he still want Lori to be part of JJ's life?
He did. He did. He never was trying to take that away from Lori, even though Lori didn't want him anymore. I still didn't. I never really understood that, but I guess he was just hoping for the best. But yes, he absolutely wanted her to be part of his life, Lori's life.
So once Charles moved to Houston, did Lori ever also move out there?
I don't know if you call it moved out there, but she did. She came that day on March 28th. Charles said, "Look, we're moving to Houston. You're welcome to come. I'll fly you out Sunday." And she said, "No, I'm busy. I have a project," or something she was doing in Hawaii. She said, "It'll be about 2 weeks and I'll be in Houston." So whatever she did, she was gone for 2 more weeks. It was a total of 72 days, I believe, she was gone altogether. And then she was there. She and Tylee moved in at Charles's, and Charles said that she slept in JJ's room with him.
So the first 2 weeks when Charles and JJ are in Houston without Lori, were you ever there to help with JJ or Charles's business?
No, Lori was there. I
guess-
JJ was.
Before she moved there, the 2 weeks?
I think.
Or did
No,
you?
I had to go home for a little while, but Charles came like the weekend, and, so if I wasn't here, he was there.
Okay. So once you drove him there, you may have stayed to help him and then you went home.
Yeah.
And you weren't there when Lori came to Houston?
No.
You told us that you had been helping your brother with his business, and I think you'd said something about changing passwords.
Yeah.
Was that to different financial accounts?
Right. Credit card, bank, stuff like that. Yeah. The password to Google, the password to,
All the things you use for business?
Yeah. Yes.
And so when you started helping him, you had changed a lot of those passwords.
Yes.
At some point, did you become aware or at some point, did Charles stop asking you to help him with the business?
He did, and that's when Lori came back.
Okay. Now, you said that your brother worked in annuities, right?
Yes.
Right, that last part of the time when you were working with him up through sort of the end of March, beginning of April, were you aware of Charles coming into a large amount of money?
He was receiving an annuity, what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but he was receiving like $125,000 check for his commission for annuities, and Lori obviously knew that because she was there just a few days before that came into the bank, that was deposited into the bank. I had access to the bank, so I would watch that.
Okay. So even though Lori came back, you still had the passwords to look into Charles's account?
Yes.
Do you know how long Lori stayed in Texas with Charles?
It's like she wasn't there the entire time, but I mean, she was always traveling through May. I'll say towards the end of May. I'm not for sure exactly what day.
So at some point, a couple months later, you become aware that she has left Houston.
Yes.
Did you know where she went?
Yeah, she was back in back here.
Did you know, did JJ come with her when she moved back here to Arizona?
He did.
And did you know, did your brother move back here?
No, he did not.
And with your access to the finances, were you aware whether or not Charles was paying for a house here in Arizona for Lori and JJ?
I really don't recall seeing that transaction. I really don't, but that, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. At that time, I was selling my company, and so I had a lot going on at that time, and that's when it was really getting, the due diligence. The company was doing their due diligence, so I had to provide a lot of information for them, and so it really was perfect timing because then I got super busy with my company, and I didn't have to deal with all of Charles's because Lori was back. Or
Let me ask you something else. Were you aware of when Charles met Lori, or they got married, do you know if she worked?
she was a hairdresser. She did work as a hairdresser, and I don't know exactly when she quit working, but I don't think she worked long, if she did, after they got married.
Okay. So for most of the time when you knew them to be married, you did not see her working outside the home.
No.
Did Charles, I guess, work so she could stay home with the kids?
Yes, he was fine with being a one income, letting her stay home, tend to the kids, and he would be the moneymaker.
Now, I know that we've talked about Charles working in the area of financial planning. Did you know if Charles had a life insurance policy?
Yes.
That's something that, how did you learn about that?
Well, I mean, he had told my husband Larry and I years ago, he helped us acquire a $1 million life insurance policy for me and my husband each. And because he always had one, and Lori had one, so that was nothing new or unusual to talk about.
Okay. At some point when you were helping Charles, when Lori had disappeared and Charles didn't know where she was, did you have a conversation with Charles about the beneficiary of his life insurance?
Yes, it was early February when I came here to help him with JJ, and he said, "Look, I'm going to take Lori off as beneficiary, and I'm going to put you as a beneficiary." And I was like, we talked about maybe a minute and a half about it, and I was like, okay, whatever. I really don't want to be that person, but okay. And I never followed up to see if he changed it. I didn't know until I got the phone call after he was killed.
So the discussion you had of that change was during that time period when he couldn't find Lori, had no idea where he was, and he was taking care of JJ?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you were helping him take care of JJ.
Yes.
So if something had happened to Charles during that time when Lori wasn't around, would you have taken care of JJ?
Yes, he would have come back to me and my husband.
So I want to kind of go to right around that July time period. Do you recall when was the last time, I'll start with, when was the last time you saw your brother, Charles?
That's a good question. Probably must have been in June.
And do you recall where that was or the
I think he came to
circumstances?
Lake Charles for the weekend.
Did you see JJ then?
Yeah, no. The last time I saw JJ was May 18th.
When was the last time you
Okay, guys, if you think about that, she just said the last time I saw JJ was May 18th. What do you think the jury's thinking? They don't know about the other trial. They don't know that Lori is in prison serving 3 life sentences. Okay. But Kay just said the last time I saw JJ was May 18th. What do you think the jury's thinking? I'd be sitting there thinking, well, what happened with JJ? Why haven't you seen him? You know? I mean, I'd be questioning it.
recall speaking or texting with your brother, Charles?
He texted me the night before he was shot, and just, hey, I'm going to be in Phoenix tomorrow, and how's it going? And just a little short text, and I'm boarding the plane now, and I'll be back in Phoenix in a little bit. And then he told me a few other things he had planned, but that was not much, not a big deal.
Did
Nothing
you think
major.
he was going to Phoenix to just see JJ?
Yes.
Did you know anything about any type of intervention?
No, he never talked. If he did talk to me about it, and I'm pretty sure I would have remembered that. But no, I know that he and Adam was his confidant during that time, Lori's brother, and so I know that whatever he was doing, Adam was part of it, and they were just. I knew he was in good hands with Adam, because Adam, they loved Charles, him and his wife.
Do you have any knowledge of Charles wanting to get a place here in Phoenix so he could be closer to JJ?
I don't remember that, but I can't remember that. I mean, I don't know.
No?
I can't
Okay,
answer that.
that's okay. I want to talk to you then about, so you talked to your brother, just kind of normal stuff as he was, before he got here to Phoenix. How did you learn that your brother Charles was dead?
It was on July the 12th. I was at a nail salon in Lake Charles, my granddaughter and I, and I got a call from his oldest son, Cole, and he said, "Hey, what is going on? I just got a text from Lori, and she said Dad's dead." And I said, wait, what did you just say? And he told me again, and I said, something's wrong with that. That can't be true. And I said, have you tried to call her? And Cole's like, yeah, she won't. I'm trying calling. She's not answering. He was freaking out, and I was like, okay, Cole, just give me a minute. Let me think about this. Let me see, and I'll call you back. I promise, as soon as I can figure this out. So I called my husband to tell him, and he said, okay, well, I told him that what the Cole said, and he said, hey, let me call you back in a minute. And so I was still at the nail salon trying to get out of there, and he called and he said, he's dead. I Googled him, and he's dead. Alex killed him yesterday. And I mean, that was just like, it was horrible. I have to call my siblings and let them know. Thank you. And everybody was freaked out. I didn't know what to do. But I did call Cole back and let him know that it was true. And just was telling him, let's keep in touch. You find out something, I find out something, we'll let each other know. And
Did you try to reach out to?
What a horrible way, right? What a horrible way to find out that your brother is gone. To find out your dad is gone, right? Lori texts his children, but she was close to Kay, and she didn't text Kay. Why? Melissa says, I think one of the jurors will ask the question. Yeah. They're probably wondering where Alex, JJ, and Tylee are. I know, right? Because none of them are alive to be in that courtroom to testify. Yep, she is. Very cold. Very cold. But I have a feeling it wasn't easy for her to see Kay cry. Kay is not a crier. She's been so strong through these past 6 years, guys. 5, 6 years, however long it's been. She has been so strong. For her to cry, it takes quite a bit. And you could see she was reliving that moment, right?
Lori?
I've tried calling, texting Charles. I tried calling, texting Lori. And at some point, she texted me, she returned a text, something like, I'm having to deal with a lot of stuff and I'm busy. And she was too busy to even call his family to say that he was dead by her brother killing him. And
Take a breath. So you had tried to reach her and she was too busy to talk to you.
yeah.
Did you ever, what was the burial plans? Did you ever get Charles back? What happened with him?
We ended up calling a detective, the detectives in Chandler, since that's where it happened. And we were able to speak to a detective, I don't know who, but we told them that I had already arranged us a flight for the next day. We were here by noon Saturday because I needed to know I need to know where JJ was. I didn't know what he had seen. I didn't know what he knew. I knew he would be, I knew it wasn't good. But I couldn't, we had to talk to the detectives before I did anything with Lori. So, and we had to wait till Sunday to meet with Nate Moffett. And then when we talked to him is when I told him about the life insurance policy and that Lori, that I didn't know if Charles had ever changed it to me like he said he was going to do. And so I didn't know, but I just knew we had to get JJ because he was not safe with her.
Let me stop you there. I'm going to go back to Charles. Where was Charles buried, or where was what was done with his remains?
Well, this was before Lori knew she wasn't getting the money. She had him cremated, and he was mailed. He was FedEx or whatever over to my office, along with his Letterman's jacket from high school and a couple pair of cheap sunglasses and one or two watches. It was just a few little trinkets. And Charles had a watch collection, and she just sent some crap.
So she cremated him and FedExed him to you.
Yes,
Sent him to your work office?
yes.
Now you're saying this is before,
Wow, that's cold. She cremated him and then FedExed him to Kay. That's cold. Evil. Yes, it's evil. Kay has been through, yes. She's one strong woman. It blows my mind what Kay has suffered because of this woman, right? Charles, he knew it was coming. He was afraid for his life. Did JJ and Tylee, maybe not JJ, did Tylee know what was happening? I don't know. We saw the interview. She was cold as well, almost as though she hated Charles. She's very cold to him about when she was talking about him. She didn't cry, nothing. No, I'm not putting anything against Tylee because I don't think her mother was a very good role model, right? I just wish that Lori didn't want those kids. She should have just given them away. Let Tylee go live with her brother Colby. Let JJ go back to Kay and Larry. Or both with Colby. It doesn't matter because he would have been loved and taken care of either way, right? But her whole thing was the money, guys. If she could keep those kids hidden, she had access to the money that Tylee was getting because of her father being gone. And she had access to the disability money for JJ that was $4,000 a month. That's what it was, guys. Because see, now she didn't have that $1 million life insurance policy. And remember that Chad was useless. All he did was write his little books. And you cannot tell me he made that much off those books. Oh, and he dug graves. Yeah, can't forget that. He dug graves. So how much money he could make? Very little, right? Horrific story.
before she learned the life insurance policy was not going to be, she was not going to be the beneficiary. Did you set up like a service for Charles
Yes, my family and I made arrangements for a memorial service to happen in Lake Charles on August the 3rd, which was, he was killed July 11th. So took us a little bit to put it together, but we did.
did you talk to Lori about having JJ come out for Charles's service?
I think the last time I talked to Lori was she told us that she wanted, I asked her, what can we do in Houston? I was trying to be nice because I knew she had something to do with his murder. And I'm not one that can just lie off the cuff. I don't, I'm a bad liar. And so when I did talk to her, and it was a long, awkward conversation I had with her, but I was like, what do you want us to do with that stuff at the house in Houston? But when we got to the house in Houston, and she did, yeah, y'all please go do what you want to do with it, see what Cole wants, y'all split it up, y'all take it.
She gave you permission to go to the
Yes.
house in Houston and take whatever was there?
Yes, and when we got there, none of Charles's personal belongings were there, nothing at all. And that, I couldn't figure out why nothing of Charles's or JJ's was there. Or wait, nothing of Charles's was there. Just his business files and the big furniture, sofa, beds, stuff like that.
So, guys, what would Lori have done with Charles' personal belongings? What need would she have of those? Did she give them to Chad? I could maybe see watches and things like that. If you had a watch collection, you could be sure she sold that for money. But I mean, his clothes, his personal belongings, his underwear, right? What was the point of that? Of taking that? Right? I don't understand that, guys, at all.
So you went there, you did that. How did you, and you told us that you did not know for sure if your brother had ever changed the beneficiary from Lori to you. How did you find out if that was done?
I think it was the following week, a lady from Banner Life, that's where it's policy, who wrote the policy. A lady called and said that I was the beneficiary, I was the sole beneficiary, and what was our address, and she wanted to verify a few things and to send out the check.
When you got that call, did you ever have Lori confront you about the life insurance policy?
Did I ever have Lori what?
Yeah, did Lori ever confront you about being the beneficiary for Charles's life insurance policy?
Yes. She didn't call and do it. She sent me a text one night, a picture or two of a screenshot. She took a screenshot of the change of beneficiary form with my name on it. And she said something to the effect of 5 kids and his sister gets all the money, or is that why you want JJ? Something to that effect, which it made no sense. I want JJ, period. That was a dumb statement by her.
So let me ask you this. So she told you again that she was left with these 5 kids, right?
Yeah, 5 kids. She had Colby and Tylee and JJ. And
at that
Colby
time-
was out of the house, so it was just Tylee and JJ.
So she's messaging you this saying how upset she is because she has 5 kids to take care of.
Yeah,
And then she tells you that, is this why you wanted JJ to come to Charles's service? Or-
no, I had already gotten the okay from her to come get him. I was gonna fly here, pick him up, go back to Louisiana, keep him for a week and attend so he could attend the service during that time. And when she got when she found out she was not, when she found the change of beneficiary form, she said that she was too busy. They were moving to Hawaii, and it would be too confusing for JJ to come, and he needed to be with her.
So after she found out and had confronted you about that change of beneficiary where you are now getting Charles's life insurance policy, she changed her mind and refused to let JJ go to Charles's service, his
Yes.
dad's service. After this confrontation about Charles making you the beneficiary of the life insurance policy, did that pretty much end most of the contact you had with Lori, other than you reaching out to talk with JJ?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
All right, Cross.
Watch her now, guys.
Boy.
Did you catch that? She said, "Oh boy." She kept the expensive ones. That wouldn't surprise me. So now Lori has only 3 questions and then we'll be done. But yeah, I'm going to go back so you can see and hear what she says here.
Boy.
Oh boy.
Ms. Woodcock, where were you on July 11th, 2019?
Now her nickname for Kay was KK. Once again, just like she did with her brother, Mr. Cox, Miss Woodcock.
At home in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Were you aware at all of the relationship between Charles and Tylee?
It was, let's say, it was a bit contemptuous. It seemed like there was always a lot of drama going on, and so that's all I knew. He didn't say too much about it, and I didn't pry.
But you knew that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for
I can't
a
hear
while.
you.
I'm sorry. You did know that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for a while.
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't really aware of the events that happened that morning, were you?
The morning of
July
his murder?
Of July 11th?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because you didn't tell me.
You didn't tell me.
Ms. Woodcock, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
Thank you. No further questions.
No, but I saw a ton of evidence. Zing, right? Yes. Ah, this woman. And I was noticing, I wish we could have seen Lori's face, right? But when Lori is up at that stand, we can only see her back. But to me, it looked like she was Zing too. It looked like she was looking at the judge instead of looking at Kay. There was only a couple times where she really looked at Kay, and I found that funny. yeah, if looks could kill right now when you look at Kay. And guys, I do not blame her in the least, but she did a good job. She said that when we don't have time to go to that other interview, but she said that when she um was on the stand, um that she was a little nervous, and she said she wished she could do it again because she'd have more zingers, canine. she she said she'd have more snarky remarks. I think it was her word, but she said she had to be really careful because she couldn't open the door to um, the Idaho case. Right, she had to be really careful. Um, so that was always on her mind, and that had to have been nerve wracking, right? Because they've already been through this, and you have to wonder again. Kay was talking about JJ in the past tense, right? Kylie in the past tense. Lori tries to speak of them in the present tense, you know, but you got to know that the jury's picking up things, you know. I Part of me though, I have to say, part of me really wonders um if it's true that they didn't know anything about this trial. I find it hard to believe about the Idaho trial. I find it hard to believe that there are people out there that didn't know about this case because it was so huge. But I mean, I guess especially in Arizona. I mean, although I get, the police closed that case as a self-defense case, and it got reopened again once they found, texts of Lori's and Alex's on the iCloud, right? So it's only after that they began to look at it as a red rum. Crazy stuff, though. There's still one more trial after this, and Kay's brother Jerry and a sister, I can't remember what her name was, have also been in the trial. How do you think the question about the kids will be answered if it is asked? Um, I don't think the prosecution, even if Lori gets up in the stand, I don't think the prosecution will open that door. They want Lori to open it because then it can come in, and it won't be a mistrial. But if they open the door, it could become a mistrial. So I don't think the prosecution is going to do that, right? It's going to have to be at Lori's mouth. It's going to be because of Lori's mouth. That's what it's going to be. Um, and then once that door is opened, they could feasibly answer that question. Well, you know what Lori's going to say, right? I mean, we all know what Lori's going to say. They're safe. They're happy, right? Everything she's been saying all along. They're safe. They're happy. That's going to be Lori's answer. I'm going to see them again one day. From a juror, I don't think they'll allow that to be answered. I don't think they'll allow it if the door hasn't been opened. If the door hasn't been opened to the Idaho case, they won't allow that question. the judge won't allow it. I don't think. I don't know. That's a really good question. How do you think the question about the kids will be answered? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a really good question, Melissa. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Will they? I don't know. I don't know. I keep thinking of things and then I negate it just as quickly as I think of it. So, yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I guess if the door is open, they can say. But if the door's not open, I don't know because that's supposed to be kept out of the trial. So, I mean, that's the whole purpose of like Kay and Adam and the rest of the witnesses not to be able to bring up the Idaho case because the jurors are not supposed to know about it. So, be a tough one. What do you think? What do you think, guys? What do you think? I was watching The Lawyer You Know. I've been really trying. I don't know. I followed this case from the beginning, guys, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. But I watched The Lawyer You Know, and he went over this interview with Kay, and he felt. I mean, he thought that Lori did a good job on questioning. Um, he did say that the last question that she asked, it, did you see or hear me personally conspire to kill my husband, Charles Vallow? He said because of the way that Kay answered the question prior to that, about you weren't there the day of July 11th, you didn't know what happened. And Kay said, no, because you didn't tell me. He said, if I would have been the lawyer, I wouldn't have gone any further. I would have just shut down questioning. But he thought Lori was doing a good job. So, you know, um, which I found weird. Right? Um, because she has been snarky. And yeah. Kanan says, I think it will not come in unless Lori brings it in. They're protecting that all the way. Yeah, they really are, because they don't want a mistrial, right? The prosecution is being very careful, and so they're prepping all their witnesses to make sure that they don't bring that in, right? The closest that Kay got to it was when she said, the last time I saw JJ was. And see, as a juror, I would be that would be written down in my notepad, right? The last case said the last time I saw JJ was date. I think she said in May, right? So, and see, Lori knew that Kay wanted JJ, and she might have let Lori or Kay have JJ had she gotten the $1 million. But see how vindictive she can be? So she had to keep JJ, and so that she could get the $4,000 a month. Sure, Lori, yeah, I'm sure she would, because it's more time out of jail for her, out of prison. I mean, come on, guys. She gets to stand up there in a nice suit, although she's got a shock vest on. But so if she does anything wrong, it's a zap for her, a good zap for her. But which I don't think she'll do, you know. Um, hmm, but if they don't know she's in jail, they may think she still has them and keeping them from Kay. Yeah, which still doesn't make her look good, does it? They could be thinking that. Yeah, they could be thinking that completely. I Okay, so let's look at it like this. So would they be looking at Kay as being um I mean, we know Kay, right? We know her role in everything, and we feel bad for her. I never thought about maybe are they looking at Kay as being mean to Lori? Because Lori was her tone and everything with Kay was really nice. Was that her point? Was that her point, guys? Was she trying to make it look like Kay was being the witch with the B? um, while she was being kind and respectful, and because she was with her. She wasn't with her brother. She wasn't with Serena. With Serena, she was being something else, but interesting. I never thought about how the jurors could look at Kay in this situation. I would hope they could see through Lori's, because Lori has been witchy on the stand, right? Or in the court. I don't know. Lori killed her brother. She has a right to be snarky. She does. She does. Yes. And so maybe the jurors feel that, right? They're going to remember this testimony, but that, I wish they could end with this, though. I don't know if the prosecutor called these in the right order. I think that they should have called all the experts on the cloud and the texts before they called Adam and Kay, because I think leaving the jury with Adam and Kay's impressions and testimony would be powerful. Don't you? I mean, yes, they're going to make a closing statement, but I think leaving the jury, if they left these two until last, Adam and Kay's testimony, I think that would have been powerful. And that would have been my thought. But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. I have been a juror though, so especially when a trial's going to go for weeks on end, right? It just makes you think that would have been a powerful testimony, right? A powerful thing to leave in the jury's minds as they go back to deliberate. But next week it's going to be interesting, very interesting. And I grabbed an old grannyism. Deception is not a sign of love. It is a sign of disrespect. Lori is the queen of deception, is she not? Bewitch. Yeah. Bewitch. Yeah. And it's true. Deception, that's not a sign of love. Look at how Lori deceived all the people in her life. I mean, how long has it been going on for, guys? You know, when I think about the inappropriate touching with Alex in front of Alex's wife when Lori was in her 20s, 19 and 20, I guess it was at the time. And I don't know if it continued on. We don't know that, right? They may have caught on that, oh, maybe this isn't a good thing to show in front of our spouses. Did they do it in front of Tylee and JJ? Or do you not believe Alex's ex-wife as far as that goes? Do you think that that didn't happen? I mean, it's just her testimony. Lori's never going to own up to it, right? Alex is dead. So I kind of wonder, I have a tendency to believe it. I just do. I don't think that she would have anything to gain by coming out and talking about it, right? There's nothing to gain by it. She was only married to him for a year. It's not like, it doesn't gain her anything to be talking about this. But all I can say, in my opinion, is that Lori is mentally deranged. That's my opinion. Mentally. And I don't know, this is even a good picture of her. I should get a more up-to-date one because this is when she was first arrested. Her Botox was still there. She certainly doesn't look like this right now, but yeah. Yeah. She's a grandstander. She had to have all the attention. A narcissist, right? Because isn't a narcissist about someone who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water and couldn't tear himself away? Isn't that? And honestly, guys, that's why I really believe that when she looks in the mirror, she sees this version of Lori that's up on the screen right now, right? Or maybe even younger, I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, very much a narcissist. Big time. Sad. Really sad. And hello, Pam. Good to see you. So yeah, I don't know if we'll talk about the trial every day next week, we'll see. It may just update here and there. Tomorrow we'll probably talk about Sebastian. Even if it's just talking about the billboards or just chatting about them, right? Just to kind of keep his name in the algorithm and keep things going. Because even if I don't talk about him, guys, he's on my heart every day, as I know he's on yours as well, right? He is. No matter what case I'm on, even in this case, I brought up, something of Sebastian, right? So you can't help it. He's just there, ever present, right? All right, so that's all I had for tonight, guys. I want to thank you all for being here. Please hit the like button on your way out. I really appreciate that. Um, you know, hey, share those screenshots of Sebastian, okay? Um, 1 or 2 a day on your social media, that would be awesome. That's what they want. They want those plastered everywhere, guys, so that we can get Sebastian home. Awesome, Pam. Yeah. Melissa, I think her looks have been overly important in her life. Yeah, I think so too. She used them to get her way. Come on. She was only a beautician. Um, well, or what do they call them now? Stylist now. She didn't want to work. She wanted everything handed to her on a silver platter. She used her looks to get what she wanted. I think she seduced men. I think that she was essayed by Alex early on in life. Oh, yeah. Ginger brings up a really good point. At Night is sending out a select number of kits containing dual flyers, FBI and At Night flyers, for local distribution to civilians nationwide. If you're interested, please email letmehelp at oneworldmedia.com.co. Okay. So if you want flyers and you want to be passing them out, Pam, I don't know if that's a possibility for you. Or maybe, you're leaving before you could get them, but putting them in gas stations, when you're out and about would be awesome. Yes, for bracelets, t-shirts, flyers, and way to volunteer, get in touch with Team Sebastian at we are Sebastian's Army at gmail.com. We are Sebastian's Army at gmail.com. And I know that I got my Sebastian's bracelet from Sonia, I believe. She is Betty's mod. She has those t-shirts and things. She sent me Sebastian's bracelet and purple one, Layla Santano. And she sent that to me free when I asked, so which I would have gladly paid for it, but she sent it out free. So yes, guys, please, if you can, get involved. Put it out on social media. Gas stations when you're out and about. Hand those flyers out. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. My wonderful mods, Ginger Canine, Brenda Joe. I love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granny'scrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.